Can't go over 15. Stop recording.
I did. I restarted. God. Yeah, it's recording right now.
Hi, bro. Is it recording? You suck. Bye, y'all.
See ya. Have fun. Have a blast.
This is the best one. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ.
It's loud.
Oh my God.
That's so good. Get out of here. Kidding.
He's Asian, don't listen. Okay. No, they're oh my God.
Shut up.
Karma. You're talking too. She's a loser. No.
It's nice. How much better like you get on the game?
Like 10 hours.
Seriously? That's a lot better than Charlie's.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but his is homo.
I didn't even get a. Yeah, it probably is.
You got a kid in the back? It's horrible. Oh, you had a kid in the back. Oh, now you're gonna run over him.
I'm pushing the spikes.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh, gross. It's the kid's guts.
Alright, quiet. Yeah. You ready?
Alright, guys, we're live.
Ready? Okay, I'm gonna start by going over the con case. Pro, sorry. Okay, in our first contention, we state that we are moral entities, and they say, well, that's true, but we don't have a moral obligation because there's no solvency. Well, about all this, the whole solvency thing, they say that we have to prove this, but once again, as my partner stated, we do. For example, we have a moral obligation to cure cancer, but we don't know how. But we still have a moral obligation. It's still the right thing to do. Okay, on to our second contention. We state that we have the historical responsibility, and they say, well, countries have already paid this debt, so they have no responsibility and everything. But we're saying, well, we have more oil. We're using more oil now than we did in the Industrial Revolution. So what is that to say that we are not going to be using that we're going to be using less oil? So we're still going to be using more oil anyways. On to our third contention, we say suffering and death is increasing, and on the subpoint A, hunger and starvation, they say, well, everybody can adapt to things. We're great at adapting to hunger and starvation, the ice age and everything. Well, as we stated in our case, that there's predicted to be 25 million more children malnourished by 2050, and so obviously this will actually increase. People are not going to adapt to starvation. People will die. That's just a logic thing. We're going to die if we starve. We need food to live. On to our subpoint B, war. We're going to fight over resources. Once again, they say, well, we can adapt to it, but we can't. We're going to fight over the resources that we barely have. They're scarce. We're going to fight over them, and we don't like war, so obviously we need to mitigate it. On to my opponent's case. In their first contention, they state that mitigation is pointless, and they say in their subpoint A that it's not a human result. The global warming is not a human result. Well, as we stated, 90% of scientists believe that it is, and they give us this whole example of, well, the NASA says it's not, but obviously 90% of all scientists in the world should roll over one thing. So they're just using their logic to refute this, but I would say the scientists would know better. For these reasons, we strongly urge a pro.
We're going to take a running breath. So, let's start here. We don't have to sleep.
I got a hard school first. Just spice my face.
Up to Vicky.
No, not higher. No, higher. You're really doing
Okay, I'm going to go over the main points in the debate right now. Basically what my opponent is saying, they don't have to prove solvency because we have a moral obligation anyways. But the thing about this is we don't have a moral obligation. We don't owe our moral obligation to something that we don't even know how to fix. That's basically like, it's like a lost cause. We're basically burdening our economy by stopping all this manufacturing and stuff. So just for something that might not even happen and we don't even know it's going to happen. And then they also bring up the point that 250 million malnourished kids due to global warming. But the only evidence they give of people like starving or like not having enough food is that there's like desertification and things like that, which I already responded to, saying that desertification happens either way. So there's really, global warming has absolutely nothing to do with that. So that's like not a good point. And then they also talk about how like it's basically stopping or mitigating climate change is equivalent to curing cancer, but that's a faulty comparison because they have nothing to do with each other, because climate change and cancer are two different things. There's ways that you can try to fix climate change, but there's a specific way to cure cancer, and nobody actually knows or has evidence on that, so it's a faulty comparison and should not be used anymore. And then they also talk about how China is our only example of a developing country, and we're not saying that it's the developing country's fault for the entire reason of climate change. We're just saying that they do have a huge or a big contribution into it, so it shouldn't be like on the shoulders of developed countries only to stop the climate change, because it's not necessarily all their fault, and everybody should take responsibility for it. And that's, please vote con.
Please vote con.
Wait,
Okay, so, first question. So, you talked about how we adapt to things, right? Sure, I'll agree we adapt to things. But what I want to agree to is that when we have a 30% drop in crop yield, that people are not going to starve.
Okay.
That was more of a statement than a question, sorry.
Alright, whatever. And the response to this is like, first the CO2 argument that like CO2
Okay, let's actually talk about that.
Okay, that's fine.
Even if we do have CO2 increases, these plants are still going to have way less nutrition and way less calories, so they're not going to be able to support starving
And
people.
how is that?
How is that? Because they grow faster and they don't have enough nutrients, because the reason that plants grow the rate they do is so that they can get all the nutrients they need.
Okay, so like you're thinking that like they're gonna outgrow themselves.
Pretty much.
Okay, that's fine. Alright, so you talk about how like, alright, so let's go back to the more oil now that we're using argument again.
Oh,
So
you didn't
like,
answer my question though, sorry.
what question?
My question, or it was more of a statement, sorry. How are we gonna adapt from starvation?
Oh, yeah. The idea is that like, we're not actually gonna starve because we're gonna have the ability to like, adapt to it really, like we're gonna have the
Like
ability.
super fast, because
Right.
that's not
Just
really
like
how
without
that
food,
looks.
we're gonna be able to live.
Again, like the idea is that climate change isn't a rapid thing. It's a slow occurring thing, so we have the ability to adapt over time. So it's not gonna be like an instantaneous thing, like where the world is just gonna instantaneously
By
change.
2050, we'll have risen the temperature of the world by 1 degree.
Okay,
So
that's quite a
pretty
long time,
rapid.
that's
That's
quite a long
pretty
time for us
rapid.
to actually adapt to
And
it
then
by
in
building
20
new structures
years,
and stuff.
we'll have 30% crop yield. And by 2025, we'll have 25 million more children malnourished. So these are pretty fast impacts. They're going to happen quickly.
That's actually quite a bit of time.
People
for
are not going to be able to adapt to starvation that quickly.
Again, that's quite a bit of time for us to actually have the ability to do things, to fix it. Seriously, 40 years is quite a significant amount of time for us to research and do new stuff.
We can agree to disagree on that. You have a question?
No.
Okay. Do you have a question, Monica?
I have a question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're basically saying that we have a moral obligation, but there's really no way that we can possibly fix it.
Okay, but either way, even if you can't fix it, you still have a moral obligation. It's still right to try and fix it.
But,
You also
I mean,
can
I understand you can
answer-
try to fix it, but you really don't provide any evidence saying that it's possible. So,
Well,
like,
yeah,
how would
actually, I
you-
did provide evidence, and you never answered it.
Which one was that?
When I talked about how in Southern Europe they decreased their oil, they've actually like gone backwards and reverted their oil use.
And has that made an effect at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Emma Warnick, if you're in the building, please report to the front office. Emma, if you're in the building, please report to the front office. Your mother is here to pick you up.
One section.
Thank you.
So that could obviously happen everywhere else too if they want.